The quote behind me and the story that I'm going to share with you today, I heard at a Shelby Development Corporation Board of Directors retreat. And that was back in the fall, but it really sunk in. And I think looking at writing this grant proposal, both of these grant proposals, it holds true and it applies very well to this situation. And the quote is, if you can't see it in the back, everything that can be counted does not necessarily count. Everything that counts cannot necessarily be counted. And that's by Albert Einstein, who was kind of a numbers guy. So you would think he would really like to count stuff. But perhaps there are some circumstances, some situations where this applies. And the story that I want to share with you, being an athlete, it really kind of hit home. But Western Oregon was playing a championship game against Central Washington, college softball. And there was a petite young lady by the name of Sarah Tuchowski. Very small, petite, 5'2", just over 100 pounds. This was her senior year. She had played all through college. Wasn't the best player, but she was there to give her all, support her team, do the best that she could. She was going up against a team who had a player named Mallory Holtman, who was an outstanding player. In fact, she pretty much got every award, broke every record there was at her school. They're both seniors. They both played their entire college career. Sarah steps up to bat. Now she's only had 3 hits at 34 at-bats that season. That kind of tells you right there, batting really isn't her forte. So she steps up to bat. The crowd's probably really not expecting much. And the first pitch, she swings, she misses. Crowd tries to stifle some groans. She shakes it off, resumes her batter's stance. Second pitch, she swings, and she hits over the fence, down center field. Home run. The crowd goes wild, her team is cheering, and in her excitement and her haste to get around the bases, and probably bewilderment, can't really even believe she hit a home run, 2 players on base came running in. She forgot to tag first base. The third base coach is waving the other players around, sending them home. She doesn't see Sarah come around. She looks up, and Sarah was in a crumpled heap just off of first base. See, Sarah remembered she hadn't tagged first, and when she stopped to turn around and go back, she blew out her ACL in her right leg. She couldn't move. She's there in the dust in the infield. The crowd's still going wild. Nobody really understands what exactly happened, why she's on the ground, or how bad she's hurt. And in softball, there is a rule: she cannot be assisted. An injured player can't be assisted by their team or their coaches. So nobody could come out and touch her and help her to get around the bases. And if they did, they would have to assist her off the field and put a substitute on first base to go ahead and run for her, and her home run wouldn't be recorded. It wouldn't be a home run. So as this is sinking in for Sarah, and she realizes she can't move, there's no way she could even crawl around the bases. Her coach makes the decision, okay, they're going to help her off the field, they're going to put in a substitute for Sarah. Mallory Holtman from the other team speaks up and says, "Excuse me, can I help her?" You see, there's no rule about somebody from the opposing team coming in to assist an injured player. And what nobody really realized at the moment was Mallory's knees ached after every single game she played. She knew she was staring down knee surgery after her college career. So she could kind of relate to what Sarah's going through. And the umpire couldn't really say no. There was no rule regarding it, and if the other team was offering to assist her, why shouldn't they let her? So Mallory motions to her buddy, Liz Wallace, at shortstop, and they come over, and they scoop Sarah up between them, and they gently carry her from base to base, lowering her so that her left foot can touch the base. And they do this all around the field, and they take her home. And the crowd goes wild. She got her home run. Nobody expected this little petite girl with her batting average to hit a home run. And definitely nobody expected those actions from the opposing team to help her make that shining moment come true. So when you think about that story, and you look back, this happened several years ago, nobody really remembers the score of that game. That story is what people remember. And that's where this quote applies. Everything that can be counted does not necessarily count. And everything that counts cannot necessarily be counted. And so looking at where we are in our coalition, our 5th year of DFC funding ends at the end of September. Stacy and I are working fast and furious, and we've got some board members that are working right alongside of us to gather information to reapply for an additional 5 years of funding with DFC. And as I've been reading through a couple of the grants, DFC as well as the STOP grant, I've been trying to think about what counts, because we like to see that data. The federal government likes to see that data. They like to see how much we've progressed, and they want to see a decrease in 30-day usage. But what really counts, the work that we're doing in our community, our legacy of this coalition. How do I squish that into one paragraph and make the government see our legacy in this grant proposal? And what I've realized is my perspective is very different from what your all's perspective is. What you see as a highlight moment, I might miss. And so what I'm asking you to do today is to think about this quote. Think about your involvement in the coalition. Think about what your participation has been. How far you've seen us come. What do you think the legacy of this coalition will be 2 years from now, 10 years from now? What are people going to look back and remember? When you tell people that you're a part of the Shelby Prevention Coalition, what do you want other people to automatically associate with that coalition? If you would, consider these thoughts. You don't have to turn anything in to me today. It's not a requirement to turn anything in at all. But please consider what you think our legacy is. What really counts, but can't necessarily be counted. And please email me those thoughts, or write me a letter. Mention it to me the next time you see me on the street or in Walmart. And just let me know what you think about this. Because I want to know from a different perspective what I can include in this grant to help drive home that story. Our coalitions